Hello everybody and welcome to another instalment of The High Road. I'm your host, Noel C. Blundell, and with me is Remington Liam Blundell. Hello Remy, how are you mate?
Good, thank you. How you doing?
Very well. What's been happening in your world, mate?
Nothing. I woke up early, went to the gym, went to work, and now we're here recording.
That's fantastic.
What about you?
It's pretty much the same. Yes, very similar. Got up, did some gym, bit of research this morning, wrote about 1,000 words. I'm still chipping away at writing a book. So, put about 1,000 words together on family, which was rather interesting, actually. I got a little bit inspired. I was reading in a book in relation to the formation and the foundations of family and what their function and structure is. So I decided to start to write a bit about it on that as well.
Remember, we did a family course in university, didn't we?
We did. What was it called? Family and Relationships.
Yep.
Yeah,
Something like that.
It wasn't too bad, was it?
Yeah. It was a bit dry. I don't think it was too much about families, but it
did stray a little bit from that and hovered around relationships. But it was interesting, a little diversion from our major of psychology, and just broke it up a bit. We did some interesting electives. Then we did critical thinking, we did ethics, and we did the West and the Rest, which was one of the most amazing units I have completed.
Yeah, and we did that? Truth in Contemporary Society, a load of things.
That's right. Remember the West and the Rest?
Yeah, that was
cool about where the East met West.
Yeah.
Where the Middle East, where Turkey and Constantinople met the Persians there, and how there was a transfer of culture and between both sides, left and right, and how part of our Western culture is made up of Eastern formed cultures, and vice versa. Which it was really, really interesting because they went in that unit. We went right into the witch burning.
That's right, we did.
And we went into.
I can't remember much. It was like 3 years ago, wasn't it?
That was amazing. There is still condemnations and punishments of witches to this very day in the. I think it was in the back blocks of Papua New Guinea. Anyway, I diverse. Never mind. Today we're going to talk about the weight of the world on your shoulders. It's an interesting topic. Some of us do tend to get into that particular point of life where they feel they have the entire weight of the world on their shoulders.
It's pretty easy to get there, I will admit.
Yeah, well, that's right. That's why I thought I'd have a bit of a chat to it, because I think we all suffer that from time to time and have to work our way through it. The idiom, the weight of the world on our shoulders, is a common expression used to describe an overwhelming burden or responsibility. It's often used to convey a sense of heaviness, both physical and emotional, that can be difficult to bear. So I think we all suffer that from time to time, and at different points of our lives. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think young people go through it when they are leaving. Well, they finish year 12, they're going on to university, they turn 18, and during that period of time, I think there is quite a bit of worldly weights on their shoulders.
Yep.
For young people of that age. In year 12, they got the stress of completing VCE. They have the stress of potentially leaving all their friends and peers that they've just spent 6 years with. Some of them longer, because some people go through primary school, then into secondary school, and go right through with their peers and friends. So they're concerned about losing those relationships. They're also usually very close to turning 18. So in Australia, when you turn 18, all these responsibilities open up to you, like you are able to vote.
Buy alcohol.
You are able to buy alcohol.
Pay taxes.
You are allowed to go and sit for a driver's license. So there's all these responsibilities that pop up, which can be quite cumbersome for a young person.
I think also, and I might be wrong about this, but when you turn 18, everyone kind of switches off. Don't treat you like, I guess, infantile in the ways that you were for the previous 17 years of your life. It's kind of when you turn 18, you take it on your own without much guidance, unless you've got, decent parents around.
What do you mean you're treated more as an adult than a child?
Yeah, so when you turn 18, it's more like you're expected to pick it up and move on your own. there's no real, like, if you were 15 and learning to drive or whatever, then you'd obviously have your parents there. But if you were, say, 19, learning to drive, your parents may not be there, and you got to kind of pick it up on your own. You're kind of treated like an adult. So that's where the world comes on your shoulders, because you're not treated nor have the accessibility to help like you used to. I could be wrong.
So what you're saying is you got to stand on your own 2 feet.
That's right. You got to learn how to budget, learn how to pay taxes, all these things. Yeah, whereas, you learn how to do math in a classroom, if that makes sense.
Yep. Well, see, not all 18-year-olds sort of cut free like that. Lots of them have families that still support them wholeheartedly through all those processes of getting a license and things along those lines.
Yeah.
So it's a real catch-22 too, because it's a bit of a frightening experience for parents, because they actually have to, for the good of their child, have to start to let go and empower the young person to go through and start to deal with problems on their own, instead of rescuing them or going and taking over and just doing it all for the young person.
Yeah, well, I don't know if this assumption's necessarily wrong or right. I just think that when you turn 18, people kind of shift in the mentality, if that makes sense.
When they address you and how they treat you as a human being, yes.
Yeah. And can be daunting to some. It also can be very rewarding.
Yeah, I think so. And also there's another big weight on the shoulders of young people when turning 18. There's that realisation that they've actually achieved a grown-up status.
Yep.
Because your entire childhood, well, as far as I can remember, and that was a while back, was wanting to be an adult. So all your play and all your mimicry has been to copy adults, to be an adult. Well, all of a sudden the doors open and you're an adult, and I think that that can be sometimes, of course, very rewarding, but sometimes a bit daunting.
Yeah,
I think.
I personally, the world kind of, I wouldn't say come crashing down, but it got a lot more serious after high school.
Really?
Oh yeah, I had to get myself to and from uni.
Yes, you did.
I had to, and then when me and my brother started renting the place out, my house, that was all a huge responsibility to take on too. And now, I had to figure out how to pay for rent, bills, cars, transport, and so I think for the first 6 months of university, when I was still 18, it all come down to me like a ton of bricks.
Yep.
But not saying I didn't have support. I had plenty of support.
Yep.
But yeah, I can see what you mean by turning 18.
It's daunting.
A big, yeah.
It truly is daunting, and I think some young people, it takes a bit of time for them to get their hands on the steering wheel of driving their own life. Gee, I dare say there's people around in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s who are having a hard time getting their hands on the steering wheel and driving their own life.
Yep.
When we look at it realistically like that. Just I think for 18-year-olds it's a bit daunting, because it's all new and it's all experimental, and it's sometimes not what they thought it was going to be.
Yeah, and when you're younger, you kind of think, you look up to older people, or you just look at other people that, are running their own lives. And I think all young people think they must have it sorted out, but everyone you look at don't have it sorted out.
Correct.
And that was the reality I walked into, is, don't expect professionalism in the real world.
No.
That was something you always told me.
Yes. Just be wary. Everyone's writing their own story as they go.
Yeah, and when I grew up and took on this uni course and started meeting more people, it doesn't matter what age they are, they may not have it all sorted out. So it's okay to, just get by.
They look like they got it sorted out though.
Yeah.
Don't they?
Yep.
And if you believe social media posts, they certainly do have it sorted out.
Yeah.
But really, when you scratch the surface and drill down on what's going on in their lives, what's going on?
They're just barely getting by.
Yes, that's right. And a lot of us, I think, are in that situation from time to time, just barely getting by one way or another. And that's what we were going to have a bit of a talk about today, actually. despite working and fitness and, being involved in art and study and trying to do as many things for your health and well-being, both psychological health and physiological health, it can still feel like it's all too much. And it can be like there is a very real weight on your shoulders. And, there's some strategies around that. I think sometimes it can be diet driven, not managing stress or not taking enough self-care to manage stress. Like, anything comes to mind? Look, you manage stress. I'm thinking like sitting down and just taking 5 deep breaths and clearing your mind and stop thinking about anything for 5 breaths and just starting there. Just sit down somewhere quiet, take 5 big deep breaths, one in your nose, breathe out your mouth. Do that 5 times and think of nothing. Has the ability to rest your mind just for be it for those few moments, but at least you're getting some rest. And we don't, because we keep on thinking constantly. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Something, a little simple thing like that can actually,
even 2 minutes of box breathing.
Correct. 2 minutes is a long time.
Yeah.
Even go down 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Right. Even do that's box breathing is breathe in for the count of 4, hold it for the count of 4, breathe out for the count of 4.
And hold for a count of 4.
Hold for a count of 4. And you can do that, and you can time that via your heartbeat if that's going to work for you.
Yeah.
They're called box breaths. If you can get through 5 sets of those box breaths and without anything in your mind, I think you've done very well. Although it's hard, it takes practice and discipline to go beyond that. Try it. You might like it.
Yeah, I did some box breathing the other week, just when I was at a breathwork session, and it was awesome.
Yes.
I'd done it before, and I love meditating. We love meditating. We've been doing it for years.
Yep.
But yeah, one of the things that I realised was how calm. And I was in a session with other people, and everyone was saying that feels like a huge weight's been lifted off their shoulders because of it. Yep.
You can actually feel the tension go out of your shoulders when you do box breathing, because when you exhale, if you concentrate on taking that weight off your shoulders, that metaphoric sensation of weight on your shoulders when you're exhaling on the 4 and all that breath coming out after holding it for 4, you can actually feel a relaxation come into your shoulders. It's a wonderful feeling. And if you concentrate on that and duplicate that the next cycle around, by the 4th or 5th cycle, you are really relaxed and almost ready to sleep.
Yeah.
So I use box breathing for going back to sleep when I wake up at night.
I can't believe that, biologically, the thing that calms us the most is free. All you have to do is breathe.
That's funny that a lot of the best things in life are free. Didn't someone write a song by the name of that? Dun, 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 dun. Anyway,
is it?
I won't go into a musical little run. I'll drive everyone mad.
And there's a famous quote called, "The magic you are looking for is in the work you're avoiding."
Oh, yes? Really?
So, yep.
That sounds like a great book.
That's a quote.
A quote, is it?
The famous quote is, "The magic you're looking for is in the work you're avoiding."
That sounds very much like the famous quote that I say constantly is, "Face what you fear most first, and therefore you will conquer fear."
Yep.
So anything you fear, rush up to and face it. Ask what it is, pick it apart, have a look at it, dissect it, see what it is, smell it, taste it, feel it, whatever you have to do to face that fear. And the instant you do that, fear dissolves and goes away.
Yeah.
But we can carry barriers and boundaries and restrict ourselves and hold ourselves back so much on the strength of fear, which most fear is non-existent. Not talking about, walking out in front of a train. I'm not talking about a boogeyman and, coming and chasing you down the street. I'm not talking about that sort of stuff. I'm talking about our imagined fears.
Yeah.
Right? So they can be conquered really easily. Although sometimes to face those fears is terrifying. But the sooner you do it, the quicker they're gone.
What do you think is the fastest way to get to that point where you feel like the world is on your shoulders? Because for a man's life is hard. All life's hard. But I feel like men kind of suffer the working hard jobs and I guess the tougher lives, if that makes sense. Well, that could be up for debate because everyone's working, but
well, it's Yeah, look, men are pretty absorbed in trying to do the right thing. Now I'm talking on the large majority of men out there. They're trying to do the right thing. That's why we have a peaceful society. That's why we have one of the most safest societies on the planet, right?
Because society's gotten 75% more safe over the last 30 years.
That's correct. Murder's down, domestic violence is down, assault is down. All the indicators that have been taken by Australian Crime Statistical Department over the past 30 years are all down significantly.
Yep.
Right? And I'm thinking that that's potentially by people trying to do the right thing. And when we're specifically talking about men, I do believe that the larger majority of them, 95%, 96, 97% and higher, are all trying to do the right thing. That's why, right, our heaters work in our rooms and our homes are heated. That's why when you turn on a light comes on because there's electricity. That's why your internet works. That's why when you flush your toilet works. It's when you turn your tap on, there's water. That's why all that works. Because the larger majority of society are trying to do the right thing and they're getting very good at it, right? But trying to decide what is the right thing can be difficult. And sometimes you're going to start drowning in your own thoughts. And you have that sense of pending doom, but there's nothing going on, right? You can be sitting there watching TV and drowning in your own thoughts. The weight of the world's on your shoulders, and for some reason you got this feeling in your stomach that there's doom lurking in your reality, right? That can be really difficult because if you let that continue, that can develop into other things like anxiety and panic attacks, and that can get really nasty.
Yeah.
Again, things like box breathing works really well. Getting out of that zone, because usually you're in a cycle, a thinking cycle, where you're thinking the same thing, and if you tend to err on the side of negative thinking around things and catastrophizing. Catastrophizing is a sense and a frame of mind where you can only see the negative, right? And that negative develops into a catastrophe.
Yeah.
Right? Okay? So for an example like your phone falls out of your pocket onto the carpet. That's not, right, bang, falls out. Oh, gee, no, that's it. It's destroyed. I'm going to have to buy another one. That one cost me $1,100 and right. That's catastrophizing. You haven't even picked it up and looked at it yet. Pick the phone up, brush it off, have a look, see if it's working, right? 9 times out of 10, 100 times, 1,000 times, 1,000 times you drop it, 999 times it'll work, right? But if you're tending to catastrophize, it can look pretty bleak. And when you get in those cycles, sometimes it's a little bit hard to get out of those cycles.
Yeah, it can be.
That's where getting out and going to speak with somebody who inspires you and who cares for you and have a chat to them. It doesn't have to be about what your problem is. It's just to placate and distract you a little bit to get you out of that cycle of negative thinking and that catastrophizing can help. Box breathing helps. Changing your scenery can help. You got to take active steps to sort of get out of that.
So a bit of repeating self-care is a very good strategy to avoid type of that stuff.
Absolutely. Self-care is so important, and it starts with such simple things. Good food, eat regularly, minimize your portions. Not minimize your portions, just don't overeat, because you overeat, you feel terrible.
Yeah.
And you feel terrible. Not only do you feel physiologically terrible, sorry, I couldn't get my tongue around that one, but you feel emotionally terrible as well, right? So, if you keep your portions down to a normal size, eat in a routine, breakfast 7:30, get out of bed, make your bed around the same time every day, eat breakfast that time, go and do what you have to do, lunch at the same time, tea at the same time. You keep those routines. That keeps your day structured. Once your day's structured, you don't have to think about that then. That just flows. Your day just flows. You get out of bed, you have a shower, you get dressed, you put those clothes on, you make your bed, you go out, you have breakfast, go to work. Right?
What I do every day to avoid situations that do provoke anxiety or a bit unorganised is I get my clothes out for the next day. I fill up my drink bottle or whatever for the next day. Pack a bag for the next day.
Planning ahead is another very good strategy of helping to lift the weight of the world off your shoulders. If you're thinking about 8 hours out, and the best time to do that is just before you go to bed. What do I have to do tomorrow? Where's my shoes? Do I have to iron anything? What pants am I going to wear? Have a think about what you're going to put on.
Yep.
Those sort of things minimises those stress levels so you're not under so much pressure in the morning. Yes, when you were 3 young boys, you and your 2 brothers, one of the jobs you had after bath time at the end of each day was to go into your bedrooms, get your shoes, your shorts, your T-shirts and the things you wanted to take to school and were going to wear to school, and they were put outside beside your door. Remember that?
Yes, helped a lot.
So when you got up in the morning, didn't matter what time it was, and you stepped out your door, your clothes were all folded up there, ready to go, and you took off your pajamas and you put on your school clothes there immediately.
And you get way better sleep and more of it.
Yeah.
Because if I organise myself before bed, I could probably sleep in for another 20 minutes or something.
Well, there you go. And that, again, self-care, as long as you don't get up too late. But, I mean, again, if you need that little bit of rest and a little bit more time to, instead of springing out of bed, alarm goes off, get out of bed, go. And everyone hates to do that.
Yep.
Right? I know I hate to do that too. I need a little bit of time to kickstart the motor and get going and have a stretch and look around and, wipe sleep from your eyes. But you're right. If you organise the night before you go to bed and everything's in place, right, you'll minimise your stress in the morning. And because you've got limited time in the morning because you slept so long, you got to be somewhere. The day's starting up, and if the routine isn't in place and you're not where you start on time, sometimes you can be behind the 8 ball most of the day until you catch up. That's all stress creating stuff. That's what Jason continuously says. He gets all these. Sometimes he doesn't want to run in the morning. He gets up in the morning, wants to run, gets his shoes out, his shorts, puts them at the end of the bed. When he gets up, he just steps into his shorts, T-shirt, strings on his shoes. Out the door, he's gone before he actually has a chance to identify what's going on. Instead of, where's my shorts? I've got to go through the washing or go through the drawers or whatever. Where's the T-shirt? Find me runners. What socks am I wearing? Going through that process, he says, everything in his power is going, don't run, don't go running, don't go. You can't find your shorts. There's no shorts. I don't know where my shorts are. Can't find a T-shirt. Don't know where it is. They're needing the wash. They're not in the wash. They're on the clothesline. I don't know. Where's my shoes? I don't know. If you get the picture.
Yeah.
Right? And your subconscious, everything is trying to avert you away from doing that thing that you don't really want to do. You don't really want to go for a run because you don't get the benefit from the run or the exercise or the gym or the swim, right, until you climb out or finish the sessions, finish the reps, finish the run, come home, catch your breath, regain your strength. That's when the reward kicks in. That's when the dopamine kicks in, right?
Yep.
That's when you punch the air and go, yes, I am very glad I did that, 100%, right? And that's what drives us to do it again the next time. But on the other end of it, before you start, you're going, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to watch TV and have coffee.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. I don't want to lift, whatever.
And if you do it, that's where the magic is.
I don't want to lift, I don't want to lift 60 kilos with lat pulls. I don't want to do that. Half hour on the treadmill. Oh.
Yeah.
Right? So if you eliminate the barriers between you and getting on it and actually doing it, because the first step you take, right, is one step closer to your goal. And that works with everything. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I've utilised that since, you were doing it when I was growing up.
Yes.
Just for me, what are some common worldly struggles? That's a good example.
Common worldly struggles.
Yes.
Balancing your budget, money.
Yep.
And your lifestyle.
Yeah, so like financial stuff.
Yep.
That's a worldly struggle.
150%. Because everyone's got a certain amount of money coming in.
Yep.
Everyone has a lifestyle that they would like, but most people's budget won't stretch that far.
Yeah, so I've got a bit of a list here as well, and financial insecurity is the first one that came up. That was a very good one.
There you go.
Mental health issues,
yep.
Anxiety, depression. These are all normal worldly struggles. Work-life balance, loneliness and social isolation.
A big one.
Yeah.
Loneliness is a big one. There's so many people out there that are lonely, and they're struggling very, very, very hard with that concept. And yes, we have screens. We can pick up a screen, talk to anybody anytime we want, right?
It is,
but
it's really
we're lonely.
Unpleasant to be lonely.
Absolutely.
It really is. And, Chris McCandless of Into the Wild, have you seen that film?
Nope.
He was a guy that, I guess, abandoned society in a way.
Yep.
I think he finished university and his family were very successful and he was going to take over the business.
What's his name?
Chris McCandless. That's what the character's name was. I think it was
Into the Wild, was it?
Yeah, this is an actual guy. And anyway.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He Chris McCandless. He's an actual guy and he could have been, in a very successful company, like with his family and whatnot, and he completed very successfully in university. Anyway, he didn't want to do that. He left in his car. He went out to the wild. He drove out there, abandoned his car, and went and lived in the wild.
Really?
And he went on for a few years. Yeah.
Yep.
And he went everywhere. He went, up and down America. Ended up in Alaska, and he found an abandoned bus that he lived in for a little while.
Yep.
Anyway, he was looking for food and he died because he ate a poisonous berry.
Really?
Yep. And after years of abandoning society, you know what he said before he died in his notebook? Happiness is best experienced when shared.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that was his famous last quote.
Because he spent a lot of time on his own.
On his own, yes. And loneliness is very unpleasant, even to those who choose it. Because he even turned back partnerships and stuff that were people that wanted to join him.
Wow.
He said, no, I'm doing it on my own. So, yeah. Anyway, that's why it's very unpleasant being loneliness. And, yeah, Chris McCandless just came to my head. Great movie. Go watch it.
Well, there's statistics around that people who are divorced or are single and don't marry after they have had a divorce or don't get married, particularly men, have a shorter lifespan than those who are married.
Yeah.
Did you get that? That's amazing.
That's awesome.
That is actually, that's proof in the pudding. That is actually in data. That's written. That's been proven. So, loneliness does have an impact on you physiologically. Absolutely. And, as you know yourself, longevity is hugely dependent on your psychological attitude towards you wanting to be here, you wanting to exist, you wanting to be part of this life and enjoying it. And if you're lonely constantly, you're going to depression and, it can get a little bit ugly, particularly if you're sitting there with the weight of the world on your shoulders. And you've got that feeling of you drowning in your thoughts, and there is a pending doom. Right?
Yeah, I have some other worldly struggles too.
Go
all
on,
common. Health concerns.
Yes, very much so.
Relationship challenges.
Yep.
Career uncertainty.
Yes.
Identity and self-esteem. Grief and loss. Fear of failure or rejection. All of those are very, very common.
Well,
and inequality and discrimination too.
Would you think that those items in isolation, just if you had one of them, would be it would be problematic? But would that be a good definition of the weight of the world on your shoulders? I don't think so.
I think the weight of the world on the shoulders comes at multiple factors.
Right. I dare say there have to be multiple of those, and that can happen. You can have financial issues going on, right? You can have some uncertainty at work. Now, there's a lot of that in the environment now today, right? Because utilities have gone up, fuel's gone up, food's gone up, everything's gone crazy through the roof over the past couple of years, right? That's happened. Wages haven't tracked behind it. Wages stayed pretty much the same.
Yep,
right?
they have.
So therefore, people have activities that they would like to pursue, and now those activities cost a lot more, even to get to them, to buy the clothes, to wear, to the activities, admission into the activity. Right? There's all these things that have gone up, but you haven't got the money.
Everything's gone up.
Righto.
Yeah.
So there's your financial pressure. Right? You're trying to, you actually want to do this with your peers or to go and meet somebody so you're not lonely, right? So there's pressure there. There's pressure on work uncertainty. There's a lot of uncertainty in the workplace at the moment. Yes?
Yeah, you could pretty much bind all these up.
There's a lot of uncertainty in the world because we got over the next 18 months we're going through global election processes.
Yeah.
Right across the board. We've got the American elections, we've got local elections, we've got state elections coming up early next year. So there's a fair whack going on, right? So if you got all those sort of things in the weight of the world on your shoulders, you could potentially feel like you are carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. Well, ultimately, there's ways and means to get around that. You don't really have to do that. Some things are out of your control, right? So you really can't do much about them.
Yeah.
I think the best thing to do with those things that are out of your control, make a list of what they are, or a list down a piece of paper, list down the middle, what I can control on one side, what I can't control on one side. Go down the list and be honest with yourself and write down a list of what you can control. You can control your immediate environment. You can control your own behaviour. You can control the TV remote.
Yep.
Right? You'll find that the list of things that you can really control are normally in your own environment, right? I mean, be honest with yourself. And you make a list there. And then make a list on the other side of what you can't control. You can't control the weather, right?
Traffic.
Right? You can't control the traffic. You can't control worldly wars, global situations. You can't control the price of oil. You can't control there, and write a list of what you can control. All these things are what you got to accumulate in your head. Then once you see what you can't control, leave that up in the hands of whoever. A lot of people use God. Let God look after that.
That's what.
Let the universe look after that.
Your faith can look after a lot of things you can't control.
Righto. And you concentrate on what you can control.
Yep.
You'll find that a lot of the weight that's on your shoulders will reduce significantly in that whole one process. Give it a go.
Yeah.
And if you think I'm a nutcase, or that doesn't work, or I'm being unreal. No, truly, if you think I'm being unrealistic, get on Facebook and write us, and we'll have a discussion about it. And I'm happy to answer your questions. If there's something that doesn't gel for you, or there's a difficulty, I'm happy to dissect it, and we can go through that on another show. But the old journaling and the piece of paper with the line down the middle, pros and cons, what I can control, what I can't control, what's good, what's bad, right? And then making a list. Doing that exercise on its own will relieve some of the stress off your shoulders by just taking it out of your mind and putting it onto paper. You then can rest your mind by carrying that load. It is multi-beneficial. I can't advocate journaling and listing enough.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I've struggled with this, trying to tell people this in the past. It's like they're so worried about something, but I said, you can't control it. What's the point of being worried about it?
Well, that's right.
You're wasting energy. Half the time it doesn't happen.
That's correct.
Worried about this, and then you worry for a week and it doesn't happen.
Correct. We live in a world of infinite possibilities.
Yeah.
That's been proven. Albert Einstein proved that in the early 20th century. Infinite. We have an unlimited amount of possibilities. You can't sit there and work out what's going to happen next. You can't. You might be able to in your own environment. You know you're going to get up and go to the fridge and get out a bottle of milk. You know that, right? You know you're going to eat tea at 6 o'clock, right? You know what you're going to have for tea. You're going to have steak and eggs or whatever the case may be, a parma or whatever, right? You got that in control. You got that in control. Outside of that, outside of your immediate environment, you have no control of what's going on, and you certainly can't predict or plan or work out what's going to, with any accuracy, is going to happen. You can't. It's not possible. So, anyway.
Yeah, well, that's interesting because I've always, everything I can't control, but I may be worried about a little bit, leave it up to my faith.
Good.
And that's just a personal thing. It's like, I can't control it. Oh, well, God's looking after me.
Good. Yeah.
Or the universe is looking after me.
Yeah, good.
And that really reassures me with everything I do. And, 9 times out of 10 goes perfectly fine.
Yes.
Or I know the way it goes was meant to be.
Righto.
But that's just me personally. I'm not, not everyone deals with it the same, but you know what I mean?
I think that's a really good strategy, and I think that's really good to do that because a lot of things are out of your control, and a lot of things have to happen to you to learn.
Yes.
Right? You could be totally neglecting something. You could have an answer to a question, or you could find an answer to a question that you can't even think up the question. And that sounds really weird. But you'll be going along doing something, and because you don't have the experience or haven't had that experience before, you're going to inevitably make a mistake. The mistake happens, bang, you learn from it. Whatever, you get your fingers burnt or you stand on whatever it is, you learn the lesson, and usually they're hard lessons, right? But then you've got the answer, then you've got the question. Once you got the question, then you know the answer. You can take that forward and utilise that in your next situation.
Yeah.
So you may very well need to learn that lesson, right? And we all do. We all need to learn those hard lessons. We really do. Because sometimes we get blinded in our own ego, blinded in our own existence, in our own heads and our own worlds, right? We can't see out of that because we're so busy dealing with our own little world and our own little sphere of reality, right? And dealing with all the responses coming out of our environment, and that we're dealing with that. I'm hungry, I'm tired, I'm sick, I've got a headache, I'm thirsty, I'm sad, I'm happy, I'm mediocre, I'm glum, right? So we're dealing with all these emotions all the time, right? Sometimes we can get so absorbed in our little emotional response to our environment, we don't think outside of that. And some of the biggest lessons are waiting just outside of that to come and slap you right on the forehead and go, hello.
Yeah, exactly.
Remember me? Hello, you weren't getting this, right?
Yeah.
And of course, we'll bitch and whinge and moan and how bad, that was terrible and unfair and, And then, with the benefit of hindsight, I'm glad that happened to me, right? Because now when I go forward in life, I can apply the lessons from that time, right, and avoid it or turn that situation to my advantage.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and that happens.
Is that a bit harsh?
No, I think it's realistic, and maybe the way you put it is, kind of the way it should be taken. So no, that was very good because that was basically over the weekend. There's always a lesson to be learnt.
Oh, absolutely.
Pretty much weekly, almost daily. So yeah, no, it was good, and some are tougher than others for sure.
Absolutely, they are, but you need them more than others.
Yeah,
and you're not going to change your mind. You're not going to be shaken out of your little sphere of self-importance without a big, rude shock.
Yeah,
and I've had them, believe me. And out of every one of them I've had, I think back now and analyse them, go down real deep on them. I'm very, very pleased they happened. And some of them I was really upset, really angry.
Yeah, same.
Really annoyed. Why me? Going through all emotions of grief, Why me? Anger, disbelief, then back to anger, then back to why me, then back to disbelief, back to anger, back to disbelief, and then eventually
acceptance.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then from after the acceptance, learning.
Yeah.
Right? And I think we can't go through those processes enough. One of the greatest things I ever learnt was comes from an old saying, walk a mile in someone else's shoes. If you can put yourself in their situation, you have a better understanding of why they behave that way. And if they're behaving unusual toward you for one reason or another, there is a reason behind it. And you will find those reasons if you take a moment to put yourself in their shoes. And we can look at a lot of people in our society through that lens. When we look at people in the streets shaking a cup for coins, and sometimes some of us will put some coins in the cup, and that's fine. Wish them all the best. Some people will complain about how dare they do get out there and mess up the street and get in my way and disturb my peace.
Very self-centered.
Right, so, we can think that too. But you have a think about that person and you put yourself in that situation where you're living that existence and you're sitting on Swanson Street Saturday afternoon at 4:00 in the afternoon as thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people walk past you as you sit on the footpath with your head down, filthy hands, filthy feet with a cup and a piece of cardboard saying, please help me, right? Imagine going through that. What sort of life has that person gone through to actually be put into that situation? Some of them make really good money, In America, it's called panhandling, and they can make good money, enough to survive. America is a much harsher environment than Australia, but here they can make good money to supplement their income anyway. A lot of them are homeless, and that's due to suffering mental illness. But imagine going through that process. Imagine that. It'd be really, really difficult. And it certainly is a humbling exercise when I go through that. So I usually wish them all the best, and send them good luck and a smile. Treat them as human beings. That's better than a $2 coin in the cup, you know.
Yeah.
Bit of a smile, g'day, how you going?
Yeah.
You know, that sort of stuff. That human interaction can't be bought with money.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm getting off track. Sorry. All right. So, how do we improve our everyday existence, mate? Got any ideas?
How do we improve our everyday existence? Well,
we're talking about routine.
That was the first thing that came to my head.
Yeah.
It was like you can go out there and pay some, motivational guy or whatever, and to help you with your life. People do it.
Absolutely.
They don't really know how to, but all they're giving you is a routine, and it's a good one.
Correct, and they're also giving you the information that you already have in your mind, usually in your subconscious, that you've heard before and you've exercised before. But what they do, there's a lot of motivational people, is they bring it to the forefront of your mind again, so you can utilize it again. Because we get put so much information into our heads, right? We tend to forget things, right? And sometimes we get rude lessons, and then or we'll be tricked, or something will pop up. But I mean, that's what they do very well, is remind you of the things you've learnt a long time ago, and they articulate it in a bit of a different way that has impact with you. Again, you get that real aha moment. Oh yeah, right. And a lot of times you go, I knew that. Why did I forget that? Well, we do that because we get so busy. That's the benefit of them. I have invested a lot of time with motivational speakers, and I do like to do a bit of motivational speaking, as much as I can, actually. And that's what it's about, is reminding you of the skills you already have, and to capitalise on those skills, because you can achieve your goals. You can achieve what you want to achieve. If you're lonely, you can turn that around. It's going to take some effort on your behalf, and it's not going to be easy, and it will be full of fear, laden with fear. But if you face what you fear most first, you will conquer fear, and therefore you will achieve your goal.
Yeah. Right?
But it does take effort, and it does take work. You know, another thing I think that improves your everyday existence is a good diet.
Yes.
If you cut down on your
sugar intake.
Yeah, well, sugar intake's a big one, although we are a bit of a sweet tooth at heart. Sugar intake and deep fried stuff is not good either. I think it's just the oils and stuff I don't think are good. Stick with fresh fruit and veg, and water. I've discovered this new stuff, mate, called water. It's amazing stuff.
I know a few people that water is tasteless, so they don't drink it.
Yeah, I know, but they not. Yes. Well, it has got a taste.
Yeah.
It's got a taste, and it's not. I wouldn't be recommending it, but I've been buying for quite some time now, and I don't get any sponsorship from these people, and I should. I've been buying a water product in a blue box from the supermarket.
Puree.
Called Puree, and it is guaranteed to have be pure water. And it's got no fluorides, no salts, no sodiums, no anything in it, actually. And when you drink it, it is like a treat. It is just amazing. It's so cleansing because it is so clean. I never realised that. Oh, it's a water. Yeah, big deal. They're all pretty much the same. Or no, they're not. No, they're not. And I know that I've been led to believe that some say that fish do rude things in water. Well, not in puree, they don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's just a fallacy.
I think pretty much water's first place to start.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't see how consuming anything else that's not water but in liquid form, where you're getting your hydration from, can be any good for you mentality-wise or just, just health-wise.
Well, see, a lot of us consume soft drinks and sodas, and those who don't really subscribe to them drink a lot of fruit juice or things like Ribenas or water additives and things like that.
Used to love Ribenas.
Yeah, Ribenas, yeah,
I was
that's
about
right.
14.
Well, it's huge sugar content in them. And see, sugar's a diuretic. It depletes your system of fluid, right? It speeds up your kidney process and your liver process, and it actually extracts fluid out of your system, even though you're putting in. So does beer and alcohol. Beer and alcohol speeds up your liver function, which speeds up your kidney function, which draws fluid out of your system, right? when you go out on a big bender, next day you wake up with a headache. That's because your system and particularly your brain has been depleted of fluids.
Yeah.
That's why when you make a regime, when you go out drinking, if you're having a pot of beer or a pint of beer, and you have had one or two, if you have a pint or a glass of water, big glass of water between beers as you start to have them, you'll find the next day when you wake up, you're not feeling as bad because you've taken the time to rehydrate your body with the fluids that the alcohol has been extracting from your body. You won't feel 100%, but you'll feel a whole damn better.
I do that every time.
You'll be able to lift your head off the pillow the next morning.
Yeah.
Instead of thinking a Kenworth just ran over it.
Yeah, I do that all the time. Well, I drink vodka soda lime, so there's water in that, but I always have additional water.
Well, with good water and you keep on putting it into your system, what happens is it helps your digestive system start to work. It actually starts to rehydrate you on an atom level. Each and individual atom starts to rehydrate, which is good for your immune system, which is good for your digestive system and your cardiovascular system. So therefore, once those systems start to work effectively and you reduce the amount of fried food and sugars that you're putting into the system, the body actually has an opportunity to come back to an equilibrium, which you start to feel a bit better. It's not such a burden to get off the couch to go and answer the front door.
I've got a question.
Go.
Do you think a worldly struggle, and people should ask themselves this all the time, what strategies they have to avoid the dependence or addiction of drugs and alcohol?
That's a coolly one, and usually the answer goes a bit deeper than normally, but I would say just off the top of my head that drugs and alcohol are usually a consequence to something else.
Okay.
Right? There is something is not matching, it's not gelling, it's not working. Often it can be trauma from your past. Often it can be behaviours that you would prefer not to look at, right? We all do something that's stupid. We all know within ourselves, I shouldn't do that because it's stupid.
But,
right?
But we do it anyway.
But we do it anyway. There's a cognitive bias there, right? There's a cognitive resonance. It's called, right?
Yeah.
We know it's bad for us, right? But we do it just the same. Smoking is a very good example, right?
Yeah.
What comes off the top of my head, and I'll probably be challenged on this, but I believe that drug and alcohol use, overuse, and or abuse is underpinned by other traumas or other. It's a manifestation from something else in your life, because you can't improve life, right? You can't improve living, and drugs and alcohol are an attempt to improve existence, improve life, improve that moment, improve that being. But drugs and alcohol are also used to mask pain.
Yeah, and that was one of the biggest eye openers for me in high school. Is I knew everyone in my year level, everyone does.
Yep.
And you know where people come from.
Correct.
You've been with them for maybe 5-6 years in high school.
Yep.
You know what they go through. You may have even been to their house and seen it.
Yep.
And when they get to that age of 18, they're still in school. You just realise that every weekday and every weekday is a struggle, but it's just to get to the weekend where they drink and subside all the anxiety and subside all the pain.
Yep.
So I did realise that, but yeah. Anyway, that was just a question I had because I feel like drugs and alcohol could play a huge part in not only contributing but also avoiding and coping with worldly struggles.
Oh, absolutely, and of course, alcohol's a depressant.
Yeah.
Right? It can make you depressed. If you go and have a good skinful, right? You go down the pub and you party up until till the cows come home. Literally, it's 6 o'clock in the morning. Go home, flop in the bed. When you wake up at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, what happens? What do you feel like?
Terrible.
Right, you got a big fat tongue, big furry tongue, like you've been licking the bitumen.
Yep.
Yes, is that right?
Yeah.
You got a headache you can't jump over.
Yeah.
Right. So bright lights are annoying you. Your stomach is turning upside down because you don't really you want to eat,
but you can't.
You want to put something in there to deal with that poisoning, but you can't. Right.
Yeah.
With these sensations, with that, you will drop into a mild sort of depression. You're a bit depressed about that. You're not happy. You know,
Incredibly emotional.
Things aren't working. Every small little issue is monumentous, right? You stub your toe. Oh, there's nothing worse than you bump your head. Oh, getting out of bed, bump your head on something.
Yeah.
So So yes, alcohol is a depressant. Now, you might feel all right enough good enough to go to work the next day, right? Potentially, a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
Right. But you still will have a residue of the poisoning that you did to yourself on Saturday night, Monday morning, right? You will, because you've accumulated, you've consumed so much alcohol that your liver can only process so much. Remember, all the alcohol you put into your system will be processed. 92% of it will be processed through your liver.
Yeah.
The other 8% will go will be processed through your intestinal tract and colon, right? And all of it will be extracting fluid out of your system, right? And I'm not bagging alcohol,
No,
by all means, have a drink, celebrate, champagne, hey, weddings and christenings and things along those lines. I'm actually giving you the facts of how it works. We drink far too much in our society, and we depend on it as a celebratory tool far too much here. It is problematic, much more problematic than we ever care to speak about or to acknowledge, and it is legal. It's the most dangerous drug we have in our society. It accounts for some ridiculous 80% of all injuries and presentations in emergency wards after hours. How's that? The larger majority of the presentations in our emergency wards are due to alcohol. It is the forming foundation that underpins murder. They say if alcohol was gone, legalised and disappeared, right, sexual assault and rape would be over, non-existent.
Yes.
Right, so this is how it impacts on our society. So we really need to take a bit more care with our level of consumption than what we really do, and treat it with a little bit more seriousness than it gets. See, because most of our heroes, our football players, our basketball players, our rock stars, our rappers, our rappers are drinking Hennessy, our football players drink beer. It's everywhere, right? So we really need to be a little bit careful with that because it can be very detrimental. And the thing about alcohol, and a lot of people have said for a long, long time, it's insidious. It sneaks up on you, right? Starts off you having a couple of beers with mates on a Saturday night, right? Next minute, Wednesday, straight after work, 5:05, you've got to have 4 beers.
Yeah.
Right? Or 4 grogs or whatever it is, right? Next minute, you're doing it 7 days a week. And you do it every night after work, and you drink your standard 6 beers. It's only 6 beers. It's nothing that's under control. What are you talking about? Then you have Friday night, you drink 12. Then you have Saturday, you drink 18. And then Sunday, you top it off with another 12. Then you're back in the Monday, you're feeling a bit foggy. You get off to work, do what you got to do. When you get home, just make it through the day. Get home 5 o'clock, and then you have your 6. So you're really just continuously topping up.
Yeah.
Right? You're really just holding a really significant hangover at bay. Now, hangover, don't get me wrong, a hangover from alcohol is withdrawal. You're withdrawing from alcohol, right? But we've disguised that as a hangover.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's really interesting.
Enough said about that, and we can do one. I'd really like to do a show on addiction, and I think we'll do one in the nearest future because I think that's quite appropriate. Another thing I'd just like to say in closing to help you with improving your everyday existence and relieving the weight of the world on your shoulders is to find your tribe, find your family, find your tribe, find your community, find those inspiring people who you love to talk to. It could be your old aunt, it could be grandma, it could be anyone, it could be next door neighbour who's watched you grow up, it could be your best mate's dad, your best mate's mum, it could be your cousin's second half sister that's grandma that sits on the porch and chews tobacco. I don't know. But find your tribe, find your community, and go and have a chat with them about some of the weights of the world on your shoulders, because you will find that everyone out there has dealt with this in the similar or same fashion as you, and they may have tools that you can adopt to actually relieve that sense of weight on your shoulders. Go and have a chat to them. You'll find stories, you'll make connections, you'll actually have face-to-face human interaction. And one of the best remedies is, for us human beings who are social beings, is to go out and socialise. It is the number one remedy for loneliness.
Yeah.
Do you know that?
Yep.
Go and find your tribe. Go and speak to those people. Go and see that uncle you haven't seen for 10 years. Go and talk to your brother. Go and talk to your girlfriend's mum. Go and talk to the neighbour. Talk to the dog if you have to, but the dog won't be forthcoming with any advice. But I'll probably lick your face. It'll make you feel a bit better. But nonetheless, back to what I was saying, all jokes aside, find and reconnect with your tribe and your community and your family. That's a really good strategy, I think. So box breathing, to sum it up, how to deal with the weight of the world on your shoulders and drowning in your own thoughts. Box breathing.
Yeah, box breathing.
Try that. Routine. Get your routine down.
Diet.
Get a diet down and clean your diet. I'm not saying to give up chips. That's it. It's all over Red Rover. No, just break up your weekly meals with, one good meal, one bad meal. Not a bad meal. Like one good meal, healthy meal, like you think that you're turning into a health nut.
Yep.
And then one meal, one of your normal meals. And you don't have to reinvent the wheel in one sitting, but start to make those small changes will deliver big results. Routine, get yourself organised before the next day. Yeah.
Yep.
Journaling, make a list.
Yep.
Right, what you can control, what you can't control, and once it's committed to paper, leave it on the paper and leave it out of your head. Right. And the final one was, reconnect with your family and your tribe. Find your community.
That's awesome.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks for listening, everyone.
How'd that go, mate?
Yeah, great.
Oh, yes. I think it did too. Thank you, everybody out there. I hope there's something in that for you too. You'll find us on all social media. Reach out. You let us know what you think. Are we correct or are we barking up the wrong tree, so to speak? Anyway, let us know. Great talking to you. Thank you for being with us. And we'll be seeing you very, very soon. Take care.
See everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.